Greetings to you. Today it's the writing class. I gave out an assignment on the Telegram group. I'm sure we have seen it. I've seen some of it already and I've responded as quick as I can. So we'll just take a brief in the class about the classes, about writing, and then we will start as soon as possible. We will do some classwork today. All right. So yes, you're welcome. Writing. Writing. The academic writing task is the one that involves you writing an essay. There are two types of writing. We have the writing task 1 and then the writing task 2. There are certain things that are expected of you when you are given the writing task. First of all, there are things that we call the band descriptors. And these band descriptors are looking for various things, different things, in either writing task 1 or writing task 2. Irrespective of what type of writing you're doing, your band, your score, your marks is based on these band descriptors. Although we're looking for different elements, the band descriptors are the same for both writing task 1 and writing task 2. In writing task 1, your band descriptors are looking for your word counts, of course, the number of words, and the number is different from what you're expected in writing task 2. So today, we will be going through what we already know. And if you're joining us for the first time in this class, for the first time listening to our writing class, you will benefit because we are going to go through what we've done before about the explanation of writing task, and then we will do some samples. We'll do some classwork. Uchenna, you are welcome to the class. Peace, you are welcome to the class. It's good to have you today. So, in writing task, you have what we call the task achievement, task response, task completion. It depends on whatever textbook you're using or whatever you're listening to. They are all the same. For your task to be completed, you must have given the number of words. You must have written every aspect of the assignment. For instance, if it says that you should write with relevant examples, you should have done that. If it's asking you to highlight, you should have done that. If it's a type task 2 question where it is a 2-question essay, for instance, and you have advantages and disadvantages, for us to say you have completed the task, you should have written on the advantages and you should have written also on the disadvantages. Please, if you join my class, kindly put your video on, please. So, if you are writing and maybe a task 2, for instance, your word count should not be less than 250. Okay, your word counts should not be less than 250, and then you must have satisfied the requirements of every aspect of the task. Then we can say your task is completely attacked or resolved or solved. Secondly, there's what we call coherence and cohesion. Coherence has to do with the ability for your work to be understood. Cohesion has to do with a flow, okay? With a flow, your ability to communicate your ideas, all right, in a way and manner in which your examiner will understand without having to ask you any question is what coherence and cohesion is talking about. Your ability to have this connection between your work is what your cohesion is talking about. If, for instance, the structure of the writing task 2 is such that you have an introduction, you have 2 body paragraphs, and you have a conclusion. Now, for your coherence, your work should move from introduction to first body paragraph to second body paragraph and to your conclusion. You are not going to conclude before you introduce the work. You are not going to just write an introduction, first body paragraph, conclude, then you are going to second body paragraph. No. If you are writing on a topic that's asking you to disagree, for instance, your introduction is there. The first body paragraph should talk about your points for disagreeing, and your second body paragraph should talk about your concession and another point, and then you move over to your introduction. In writing a both sides and an opinion essay, you don't bring in your opinion before your points. And so, for your coherence and cohesion, for there to be a flow between your work, for there to be a connection in your work, you need to move from one stage to the other. You don't need to rigmarole and you are there, you're here and there at the same time. No, you just have to maintain, like, there should be a link, all right? There should be a flow between your work. You need to maintain that flow in your work so you can score a good mark for your coherence and cohesion. Also is what we call grammatical range and accuracy. Grammatical range and accuracy, where your grammar makes sense, where you are writing and your write-up is error-free, where there is no, what we call in Nigeria, tiang or arrow, shooting in your write-up. That is because when your grammar is faulty, your marks will be reduced. You should be able to communicate in a very legible manner. You should be able to communicate in a way that it is easily understood at first hand when the person is seeing or reading your work. So your grammar generally has to do with your grammatical range and accuracies. How do you achieve this? There is the use of certain words. There is the use of phrases. There is the use of clauses that can help you to achieve all of this. Now, your spellings come under your grammatical range and accuracies. Your punctuations come under your grammatical range and accuracies. All right? Another thing you need to take note of is what we call lexical resource. That's where you have your vocabularies, the use of words that can represent particular words without changing the meaning of those words. If you come into my class and your video is off, I will take you out of my class and I will block you from coming back into the class. Stella, please take notes. So what are we saying? I was saying that your lexical resource, vocabularies, other words to use in place of the other one, the way you paraphrase, the synonyms that you use, they go a long way in helping to improve your marks. The overall aim of you writing the English test before you are able to migrate as a health worker is that they want to be sure that you are able to communicate. That when they use certain words in a multidisciplinary team meeting, that you are not going to misunderstand what the dietitians have said. You are not going to misinterpret what the physios are saying, and you are not going to say what you are not supposed to or what will mislead others in the care of this patient. They just want to make sure that you are in line, okay, with what is acceptable in the healthcare system in the United Kingdom. They want you to be able to communicate with your colleagues in such a way and manner that when I say a patient is ill, you should be able to say a patient is unwell. You should be able to say someone is sick. You should be able to say he or she has taken ill. Using synonyms to describe the same situation without changing the meaning of the statement. They want you to be fluent in your communication with your colleagues and with the patients as well. Remember that you are coming to meet a group of people that English is their native language, just as Igbo is your own native language. English is their language, just as Yoruba, Hausa, Idoma, Igala, or whatever, or Ghanaian language, just as Isoko is your own language. That is the way English is their own. And for you to be able to communicate with them, you need to learn their own language so you are able to communicate or talk with them fluently and they understand you without you misunderstanding them. That's the aim of English language. The reason why many of us fail IELTS is the fact that we fail to obey some rules. Grammar rules, you throw it into the air. Rules about logic, you throw it into the air. Over time, I have discovered that for myself, even when I'm writing my reports or writing my mails, ever since I started teaching English or I started learning English, those things have improved in such a way that as I'm writing, I am seeing the mistakes I'm making and I'm writing it, I'm correcting it there and then. At the end of the day, when you read a report that I have written, you're like, wow. Now, there is everything, like a step-by-step kind of something in report writing in this place. The A to G or the compassion mode. Now, you need to know what comes before what and what you're supposed to put before what. That is the way the IELTS exam is. You need to understand that if they have asked you, what do you think about patients who are refusing care? What do you think about patients who are refusing care? First of all, you need to say what you're discussing. You need to say, stand on the side of the patient refusing care, give reasons why they could refuse their care, and then give other reasons why you think that they refuse care. There are two different things. Reasons why people refuse care, for example, may be that they feel that the care is not working. Reason why you may think that they refuse care is because maybe that you think that they think that the care is cumbersome. It's tiring, isn't it, for some people? For instance, you give some medications and you're coming with these medications and a patient, for example, is diabetic and the sugar level keeps going up despite being on her regular medications. She tells you she's never missed her medications and you're supposed to believe her despite not living with them. One thing in this place that you will learn is the fact that patients, when it comes to their care, they are very truthful. They are a higher percentage more truthful than Nigerians. I'm sorry to say this. We hide so much. We hide a lot of things so much, and so it affects our care. You could see a woman who is pregnant and is bleeding, come to meet you in the hospital in GOPD, accident and emergency, and wants to see a doctor, and she's telling you that she was pounding and suddenly she started bleeding. Meanwhile, she has taken something because she didn't want that pregnancy. Here in this place, the patient comes to you bleeding and they tell you are taking history and they're like, oh yeah, last night at about 9 p.m. because I had discussed with my husband, I don't want this baby or my partner, or I wanted to go for the medical option and I took some pills. This and this and this is what I took. And this is where I got them from. And this is the time I took them. And when I took them, I didn't feel anything until this morning when I started bleeding. That way, you know what you are aiming for straight up. But this woman is telling you in Nigeria or somewhere else in Africa that she is she was pounding or she was walking. And you are busy trying to save this baby that you think is a threatened abortion. You think the miscarriage threatened. But meanwhile, this is what she wants. Now, she has done two things. She has fooled you and she has prolonged her care. Because if you know that this is what she's doing and you have seen it maybe on scan or something that this baby cannot be there, you send her straight for what? For MVA. Bring out whatever is there. And she's herself. But she will lie first. She will keep bleeding until she starts going pale. Some will not even tell you the truth until they will die inside carrying that lie. So what am I saying? Why did I digress to that point? Why I digressed is the fact that you should be able to have the right words to communicate these things that this woman is saying to the next team that are coming up. You should not misunderstand her. So they want you to know exactly what they are trying to do. And that is bringing you to the level of this patient in such a way that you can understand them, what they speak, how they feel. So if a patient is refusing to be cared for, they have their reasons. But if you see that this patient is refusing care, you may have other reasons that you think is making the patient to refuse care. This patient who is diabetic has been taking her drug and is telling you that she's tired of the care is because she thinks that the medicine is not working. And then you, as a health worker, you're thinking that something is wrong. It's either she's not taking the right dose of the medication, or she's not maintaining the time, or she's doing other things that is increasing her sugar levels. But all she knows is the fact that she has been taking her drugs. She does not take into cognizance that there are other things that she could be doing that is affecting her health, that is increasing the sugar levels. So you need to be equipped with the right words for your argument. Now, if you are going to discuss both sides and an opinion essay with me, you should be able to tell me, introduce this essay that you're writing to me, all right, in terms of your coherence and cohesion. Let there be a flow. Introduce this topic to me. Tell me one side of the essay. Tell me the other side of the essay. And then tell me what you think in your conclusion. That's why you must not bring in your opinion in any of the paragraphs before the conclusion in a both side and an opinion essay. It's not allowed. It's not because of you. It's not because you know it as the best, but that is the way it should be. That is the way they have set it. So logic. Now, I used to tell us that when you see a topic, ignore everything that you already know, especially in reading. Ignore everything you already know about that topic. Work based on the passage that you are given. Don't do over sabi. That is the way some of us are in writing. You want to write and write. At the end of the day, you write OP, off points. You have gone outside what they said you should write. And because you have gone off point, you can't come back to the essay and score a good mark. So what do? Follow the rules. Even if you know better than the examiners, just follow the rules. according to what they said you should do. So with these 4 band descriptors, you are done with your writing. When you have your grammatical range and accuracy, you have your lexical resource, you have coherence and cohesion, and then you have your task, achievement, completion, response, depending on what you call it. If these 4 things are not in place, your band score will be low. It will be reduced because your examiner is going to be looking for these things and mark you on them. Your band will be low, sorry. Put into your heart and let it be printed there that there are different things expected in writing task 1 and in writing task 2. In your task completion and response, there's a structure expected of task 1, there's a structure expected of task 2. I gave out a task 1 assignment and a task 2, and nobody except one person has written on task 1. Now, the task 1 that you wrote, if indeed that you have gone through the lecture so far, you should know that your task 1 is 3 paragraphs, irrespective of what kind of question it is. You have graphs, line graphs, bar charts, pie charts, maps, process graphs, diagrams. What else do we have? We have about 8, 6, 7 of them. We have floor maps, okay. We have process graph, we have flow charts, we have line graphs, and we have bar charts, we have pie charts. Any of these 2 things, we have maps. Any of them can come as either a double or a single kind of map or diagram. You may be given 2 graphs to compare. You may be given 2 pie charts to compare. You may be given 2 maps to compare. Probably development that has taken place over time. All right. Irrespective of what kind of question you have in your writing task 1, you are expected to produce 3 paragraphs in all. I have explained this over and over, but I'll go through it again. If you have 2 diagrams, which is a double diagram, for you to achieve your 3 paragraphs, what do? Introduction, which is your overall statement, is from where? It's from your problem statement and your overall view of what these 2 things are about. For instance, you have 2 pie charts, one showing for Abakaliki and the other is showing for Onitsha. There are different commodities in them, maybe money spent on electricity, on gas, money spent on household, domestic items like what and what, like soap, maybe baking soap, maybe rice, beans, different things, commodities put in one. All of them are carrying the same components, but different figures. Some for sure will be the same. Okay, some of these commodities in this diagram may be the same amount or same percentage. There may be different components with same percentage and all of that. So it depends on what you have seen. One thing you should remember when you see such charts, if it's a pie chart, is to know that it is all over 360 because it's round. Number 2 is that it's coming in percentages. All right. Now, your introduction, your overall statement for your first paragraph, you are going to state what this thing is. How do you state it? Underline keywords and use synonyms to paraphrase that statement. Then give me an overall statement in one, two of them together. Many of us do this. We write our paraphrased statement and then overall statement differently, giving you two paragraphs. It should not be. When you have written the given pie chart, the given double pie chart is maybe whatever items, household items in two cities, Onitsha and Abakaliki, all within a period of 1 month. Overall, certain items are more utilized, okay, maybe in one area than the other, all right, while some have the same percentage of use in both cities. You have written your overall statement, you have written your introduction, and you have given me the first paragraph. In your body paragraphs, one, what are you writing? Pick one of those graphs. Pick one of the pie chart, discuss it. Then the second part, pick the second one and discuss it. That's a way to describe that. Or, I told you to always have a start point when you come to writing task 1. Separate these commodities, separate these items, all right? Separate the different variables in the pie chart into 2. You have identified them. Choose which one you are going to choose to talk about in your first paragraph and which one will go for the second paragraph. And you discuss them, and that's the end of it. Now, when you do that, you have highlighted and you have discussed. Somebody said, I will highlight first and go and discuss. Abeg, how do you highlight first before you go and discuss in this kind of situation? Are you going to say you list the item, rice, number 2, beans? Is that how you're going to list them first? Then you will now go and discuss? No. As you are writing about them, highlighting, what does it mean to highlight? Everybody, when they say highlight, what does it mean? Write, chat to all. Tell me what you think about highlight. Oh yeah, chat to all. Get on your iPad. Mama baby, I hope you'll be able to write. Highlight, what does it mean? When I say highlight, what do I mean? Just write it though, let me see it. I've not seen anyone. What is the meaning of highlight? Give key points. Okay. Next, highlight. I've not seen any other one. Write out the okay. Okay. So when you're writing on your computer, on your phone, and you highlight a particular line or sentence or word, what are you doing? Peace. When you highlight on your phone, if I highlight a word in your writing, what are you doing?
I think you just want to emphasize on that word.
Okay. Adenike, when you highlight something, what are you doing?
I want to make that particular thing I highlighted more obvious.
More obvious. You want to draw attention to it. All right? It's not what you want to discuss, please. When you highlight something, it's not what you want to discuss. You're trying to tell me what it is. You are trying to like draw my attention to that thing. So you are telling me that to highlight means to write out the main ideas. It means to write out the main ideas. And if you write this for me, even if your statement is correct, I will mark you wrong for your spelling. Please check what you have written. You that wrote writing the main ideas. So, what am I saying? When they say highlight the key points, highlight the main ideas, what are they saying? Draw my attention to the most important things that you think is relevant here. Now, what are your highlights? Highest occurring, lowest occurring, the ones that are stable and did not change. All right? You want to draw my attention to the commodities that was mostly consumed in this your pie chart. You want to draw my attention to the commodities that was less consumed. The one that was consumed by Onitsha people and Abakaliki people at the same level. So when you choose these things, that is the highlight you have done. There's nothing like you going to write some things down first before you go and start discussing. As you're highlighting them, you're discussing them. Do we get the logic? So that way you find it easier to answer your questions. Okay? Some people are asking. So, highlight means to make bold. It means to draw attention to. Okay? So, if you have two different diagrams to discuss in one, it's not an occasion for you to panic. Choose one of them, discuss it, choose the other and discuss. Or let there be a dividing line, okay, for the variables. Select the variables you want to discuss in your first paragraph, and then select the one you want to discuss in your second paragraph. At the end of the day, your work is easier. Janet Oladosun, we always have our videos on when we come to the Zoom classes. I don't think I've really seen this name before. That's why I'm calling you out. If you can't have your video on, you can join the YouTube class. Thank you. So, if you have a double graph or a double diagram, this is what you do. When you have a single one, what do? Get a dividing point. That is simple. Take from what you want to discuss first, then what you want to discuss next to it, after your overall statement. And in that your discussion, the whole of that discussion is called an overview. That is, you are telling me everything about this graph, about this diagram, about this pie chart, about the graph or the map. Okay? So yes, that is what it is with writing task 1. In writing task 1, you have just 3 paragraphs. Your overall statement, okay, your first and second paragraph. At the end, you have just 3 paragraphs. Remember that you are not expected to write less than 150 words. I advise us to have between 150 and 170 words, highest. In a multitude of words, mistake is not absent. When you write too much, you will make several mistakes. So it is better for your work to be precise, to be concise, and be very rich. Now, remember that depending on the kind of question that you have, there are words, phrases that are used for that particular question. For instance, you have a graph. You should know that words like decline, increase, decrease, stable, fluctuated. Depending on what happens in that graph, those words are related to describing a graph. When you have a map, remember your compass, the use of the compass, where we have north, south, east, and west. Okay? When you have not been given a compass in your writing task, which is a map, then you give it a compass yourself. Talk about top, bottom, talk about top right, top left, talk about bottom left, bottom right. Those are the words that are related. Those are the phrases that are related to you describing a map. When you have a process graph, you should remember to talk about things like the first process is, followed by, next to, all right? Phrases like consequently, subsequently. Okay? Those are the words, those are the phrases, the lexical resource that you use when it comes to describing a process graph. The words that you use for maps, for graphs, you can also use it for maybe line graph or bar charts. All right? You can also use it for maybe when you're describing other things that has to do with where something has increased and reduced. Now, when you are describing things like a pie chart, remember the use of percentages, numbers. That is because a pie chart is over 360 and it is divided, whatever commodity, whatever variable we have in there is in percentage. So you need to know whether what you're writing is about percentages or numbers. You need to know the related phrases to these things so you don't make mistakes. Those are your lexical resource. That is what shows that you understand what you're writing about in your writing task 1. So if I were you, you can just go on Google and type in related phrases to writing task 1. And then they'll give you different types of writing task 1, and you will see the different phrases and words that can be used in their description. That way you master it, you familiarize yourself with these things in such a way that as soon as you see it, all right, you will understand which one to use. And it makes your work look really rich. And then at the end, you score your required or desired band. Okay? Now, writing task 2. Writing task 2. In writing task 2, we still have the same band descriptors, but different things are expected. For instance, in writing task 2, your word count should not be less than 250 words, while task 1 is 150 words. So overall, in your writing exam, you are expected to have not less than 400 words all in all. So your task achievement and response is expecting you to have also answered every aspect, okay? To have attacked every aspect of the question. If it's asking you to disagree, you should have answered the disagreement part, have a concession with your point, and then a conclusion. If it's asking you the effect, the causes and the effect, it means that you should have discussed what these causes are, you should have discussed the effect, and you should have had a conclusion where you have a summary of both the causes and the effect. If your work is asking you to do a both side and opinion, then your discussion should have gone to one side of the argument, completely discussed it, second side of the argument, the other side of the argument, and then your opinion must be stated. If not, it is not yet complete. When you do one side and the other side and you don't do an opinion, you are more or less writing a 2-question essay. Because every both sides and opinion essay is a 2-question essay with an opinion. Do we understand? Linda, the thing is that I usually will see your faces as soon as you make a face that makes it look like you don't understand. What do you not write? What do you not understand in what I have just said?
Yeah, the way you explain the opinion essay, I don't really understand it.
Opinion essay. What is wrong with opinion essay now?
The way the structure you said, the way you said the structure should be used.
Opinion essay, you have the structure of an opinion essay is 4 paragraphs. You have your introduction, body paragraph 1 and body paragraph 2, then the conclusion. Your introduction is made up of what, Linda?
The introduction.
It's made up of what?
The paraphrase of the thesis.
1.
And the opinion. And my opinion.
Is that what I said?
That's what I said. I didn't understand.
Okay, so your in opinion essay, in every essay, every writing types 2 essay, your introduction is made up of a paraphrase of the keywords. Okay, that's your general statement, and then your specific statement. Your specific statement is your assignment, the work you have been given to do. So if they said you should discuss your opinion, okay, discuss both views and opinion. For example, it means that your specific statement will be, this essay will discuss both sides of the argument and give my opinion. That will be your specific for a 2-side and opinion, both sides and opinion. Then for an opinion, just an opinion essay where you are asked to agree or disagree, your specific statement will be that you are going to discuss your view. Okay? Now, I usually advise us in this class that we should not start saying what our view is from the beginning, because sometimes we miss it. But if you think that you are able to construct it in such a way that you can say that your opinion, this is my opinion, that I will agree, then you can go ahead and do it. But IELTS scholars will usually tell you that instead of making that first impression mistake, it's better, what do you say? That after you have paraphrased, your general statement, you will say, this essay will discuss my opinion or my view. Some of you will go ahead and write, and yes, I agree with the point. This is not a debate in the physical. You are not debating physically. You are writing. So the essay will discuss your opinion, if whether you agree or you disagree. Your examiner will know whether you agree or disagree. Number one, in your conclusion where you will mention it, and then with the number of points that you are given. If, for example, I have agreed or I am agreeing that home tutorials is better than classroom learning for children at this time, it means that they say the question may be something like, there has been an increase in online, in home tutorials, or parents, or there's an argument, okay, that home tutorials is better than classroom learning. Then they will now ask you, to what extent do you agree or disagree with this statement? You remember that in your introduction, you're not going to be saying your points. But the moment you say that you agree, it's expected that you should say your points. If I want to say, over the years, the number of children that are taught at home has increased massively than those who attend class or school classes. I am of the opinion that this is a good, what do I want to say now? Outcome, or it's a good decision made by parents. If I want to support that notion or that point. But the moment I say that I agree that it is better to teach a child at home than in school, I should give 1 or 2 points, isn't it? But in your introduction, you are not supposed to be mentioning your points. Now, which is safer? I agree or I disagree, and this essay will discuss my points is better, if you can say that. That you agree and the essay will discuss your points. Your examiner at the end of the day will be on the lookout for your points that will support your agreement. Is correct. And if you say that this essay will discuss my view, my opinion, or my stand, is still correct. Your examiner will be looking out for your stand. And when she will conclude that whether you support or you don't support is in your conclusion, where I remember telling you that you bring up the point on the opposite first in your conclusion. Maybe because these children at the end of the day, they will not be exposed to, especially what's happening now, coronavirus or other infections outside, or they learn in a more conducive environment because they are used to their family and they are comfortable in their own homes, or maybe the danger of them having to take the buses or having to trek or walk to school is reduced, all right? Or the danger of them mixing with other children where they pick up negative traits from poorly brought up children in terms of character. I've given 4 points. Now, if those are my points, the reason why I'm now supporting that home lessons or home teaching is better, I will go and bring my concession. My concession is that although socialization with other people from different homes in their pair is a good thing, as it helps them to understand the various aspects of life and help them in their, maybe in the future, okay, to blend well in the society. Although, however, I am of the opinion that, and I'll bring my points. I've confused you people, Abby. Now, I have my 4 points. Okay, I have 3 points. These 3 points are my supporting points. And what I'm supporting, the motion I'm supporting is that the children should be taught at home. So why am I saying they should be taught at home? Number one, It helps them to learn in a very conducive environment, an environment that they are used to. So it promotes their learning. Number 2, it takes them away from the dangers of having to take the buses or walk to school where they could be kidnapped or any other issue, security issues like that. With a high rise in insecurity, it is better that children are kept at home to learn. Number 3, it prevents them from being exposed to diseases that could be picked up outside, for example, coronavirus disease. My concession will now be that the good thing about the other side that is now my concession, which is the opposite, a point that is speaking against my point. I am saying that children should stay at home and learn, but I'm also saying that when children go outside to the schools to study, they mix up with other people. All right, that way they know the different cultures of other people, and it helps them to blend into the society better when they grow up, because they have seen these people, they have mixed up with them. All right, it helps their socialization better. Okay, and it prevents them from the culture shocks, okay, that may occur later in life when they're actually seeing these people for the first time. Those are the 4 points that I have. Now, in my first body paragraph, I'm going to discuss 2 of these points. I will say that it prevents them from picking up other diseases outside. And then I will say that with the rise of insecurity, it is better that they are at home where their parents' hearts or minds are at peace. Then I go to my second body paragraph and I talk about the concession, and then I talk about my point. In my conclusion, I am now going to say, although when children go to school, all right, they mix up with people from different cultures, that helps their socializations better off in life when they grow up. However, I am of the opinion that these children, their health is paramount, their health and security and general safety is paramount. Therefore, they should be allowed to stay at home where they can study at their convenience, all right? They can study at their convenience, also with an environment that they are familiar with, okay, and their safety is secured or guaranteed. What have I done? I have discussed all my points. I have come down, so if my examiner had read my introduction and come down to my conclusion, my examiner will see that I have talked about the security of these children, the safety of their children in terms of health, and I've also talked about a concession. So usually you bring up your concession first in your conclusion before you state your point, because your point is where you want the emphasis to be. So, and now you are going to say, although this and this happens when it's on the other side, but I am of the opinion that way you have now told me that you agree or you disagree. If I am disagreeing, and maybe my reason is that children should be allowed to study where they can mix up with other people, it helps them to develop better because they are in a competitive environment. All right, and when there is competition, the children tend to improve, number 1. Number 2, I am saying that their acculturation into the society is of paramount importance because they are not going to continue to live with their family members forever. Number 3, in terms of what other point again can I give when children study outside? They are exposed to different teachers with different experiences, different examples in class with the other people. At the end of the day, they improve academically. They can learn other people's cultures as well. And my concession for these 3 points will now be that I am scared of the fact that my children will pick up negative characters from other children that come to school, or I am scared of them catching an infection and coming back home with it, infecting others, or they themselves breaking down in terms of their health. Now, I have discussed these points. I've taken 2 of them, discussed as my main points, then taking 1 of it with my concession in my second body paragraph, And then I come down to my conclusion. I now go to my conclusion and I'm going to pick my concession. My concession is now a point on the opposite side. And I discuss that although when children go to schools, it is easy for them to pick up negative characters from other people or other children who are not well brought up from their own homes. However, I am of the opinion that children should be allowed to go to school to study instead of studying at home, because it helps them to blend well with other people, improves their learning at the end of the day, and prepares them to be acculturated into the society at the long run. I have now discussed my points. I have now told my examiner my view. I am of the opinion that some people will advise you to state your opinion from the beginning. Yes, your opinion that you are stating is the fact that this essay will discuss my opinion. So your examiner will be on the lookout for your opinion. Linda, open up your brain, stop squeezing your face so that you can understand what I'm saying. This essay will discuss my opinion. Be receptive, okay? If you are more receptive, your brain is more opened to understand the flow of this information. At the end of the day, you get better understanding. This essay, please conclude it like that. This essay will discuss my opinion, full stop. When you say an opinion essay, don't go and speak long English that will make you score less mark at the end of the day. If you write it for me, I accept it. If you write it for your examiners, they accept it. This essay will discuss my opinion. If all of you in this class write the same thing, nobody is going to penalize you. It is now your opinion that you are going to state it clearly in your conclusion, and you are discussing it in the body paragraphs. So your examiner understands what you have done. If it is a two sides and opinion, for example, some parents think that it is better for children to learn at home, while others assume that classroom teaching is better. Discuss both sides of the view and give your own opinion. What are you going to do? You pick the side that is better to study at home. You discuss it in your first body paragraph. Give an example. You pick the side that it is better to study in class in your second body paragraph. Give an example. Okay. Sylvia, if you don't put your video on, I'll remove you from the class. If you are in a place where you can't have your video on, please just join the YouTube class. There's no problem about it. You can also learn if you are in the YouTube class. All right? If you are in this class, you should have your video on. Thank you. Your conclusion is where you bring in your opinion, when you have a both side and an opinion. Your conclusion is where you do what? That's where you bring in your opinion. And that's because after you have summarized your points, both for both sides, you will now go to state what your own opinion is. How do you do that? In your conclusion, for both side and an opinion, you will say, in conclusion or conclusively, learning at home does this and this and this, while learning in school or in the classroom does this and this and this. I am of the opinion that children should be encouraged to learn in school or at home. Or another way to conclude is, Although now the side you want to support will now come next to your own, to where you say your opinion. Although learning, maybe I'm supporting learning in the classroom. Although learning at home will prevent them from catching infection, help them to learn in a conducive environment where they are familiar with. However, learning in the classroom helps them to mix with other children, get used to their culture, prepare them for the future ahead of them in the society as a whole. Therefore, I am of the opinion that they should be encouraged to learn in school. Does it make sense? Does it make sense to anybody? Highlight, okay. If you can't hear, it means you didn't join correctly. I can't hear any of you. Does this still make sense to anybody here?
Yes, it does.
So that is that. Now, we had a classwork. There was something I sent to the Telegram group today. How many of us saw it?
I saw it.
If you've seen that work that I sent, okay. Did you do it?
Yes, I did.
Who is talking? Where did you do it?
I did both the task 1 and the task 2. I sent it to that email that was written on the platform there.
At what time did you send it?
You've also responded. I sent the first one around, I think around past 10 or so.
I've responded to one of them.
Yes.
I've responded to
the
one
last
of
one
them.
I sent.
And that's
Yes,
the one that you
responded
sent.
to.
It was after I responded that you sent the second one.
It was this afternoon I did the second one.
You see? So, all right. Thank you for attempting. And you have sent it as well. I just sent something to everybody, and that's the question. We're going to do it now. If you are watching us on YouTube, we have a classwork that is going on now. The question says, a person's worth nowadays seems to be judged according to social status and material possessions. A person's worth nowadays seems to be judged according to social status and material possessions. Old-fashioned values such as kindness, honor, and trust no longer seem important. To what extent do you agree or disagree with this opinion? Old-fashioned values such as kindness, honor, and trust no longer seem important. To what extent do you agree or disagree with this opinion? Give reasons for your answer and include relevant examples from your own knowledge or experience. You should write not less than 250 words. Everybody in this class, paraphrase this question. Write an introduction. Paraphrase the question. Paraphrase the key points here. Write me a statement. Give an introduction for this task. Before we start the class work, does anyone have any question? Is there any question? All right. I'm repeating the question again. A person's worth nowadays seems to be judged according to social status and material possessions. Old-fashioned values such as kindness, honor, and trust no longer seem important. To what extent do you agree or disagree with this opinion? Give reasons for your answer and include relevant examples from your own knowledge or experience. You should write not less than 250 words. I hope Memuna Suleiman, you can get the question now. I've just repeated it. Yes, you can join the Zoom class if you have all it takes. Our requirement is that you must have your video on when you join our Zoom class. If you don't, I take you out. Other than that, just go to the Telegram, follow the instruction, register for the Zoom classes, and when it's time you get notified, click the link and join the class. That's all. Yes. Now write an introduction, everybody. Your time starts when it is 3:10, that's 4:10 by your own time. You have 1 minute, an introduction. You have 7 minutes to write an introduction. I will stop you when it is 4:17 for the introductions. Your time starts now. Emilia, please complete your introduction. Yes, please type it there. I'm online now, and luckily enough, I'm seeing everything. Yes, please type your answer on the YouTube. I will see it, and I should be able to comment. Remember that an introduction is made up of a general statement and a specific statement. Your general statement is your question prompt paraphrase using your synonyms, while your specific statement is the assignment you have been given to do. Your assignment here says that you should discuss, is asking you what extent that you agree or disagree. To what extent do you agree or disagree? That is your specific statement. Your general statement is the question prompt, paraphrased using synonyms.
That's it. Don't touch it. Zinani.
All right. Well done. I'm seeing you. Okay, so why can't I see? Okay, so I'm seeing your introductions now. Okay. So your answers are here. Please don't send in any answer again. I beg you. If it's not coming before this 417, there's no need for you to post it. Don't worry about it. Keep it. Don't need it again. All right. So these days, a person's worth appears to be determined based on social status or the things they own, the person owns. I need you to read what you have written and posted and see your grammatical errors for yourself. Take note of your grammatical errors and make that correction. Some of your introductions are too short. You were supposed to type and send to the class and not to me privately. Please take note in case of next time. You just respond to everyone, please. Now go ahead and write based on what you've decided to do. I can see this essay will discuss my view. That's fine. I want to see your view. I want to hear your view now. Blessing. Go ahead, everybody. Write a first body paragraph. First body paragraph. I want not less than 2 points for you, either supporting or not supporting. All right. Whether you disagree or agree, 2 points. Develop those points, please. Don't list the points. Develop it. While I'm going through your introduction. Wow. I'm impressed with some answers that I'm seeing here. Okay. Hmm. It's okay if I took you out because your camera was off and you don't know, you can rejoin the class if you want. Just make sure you have your video on. Wow. This is good. And I just disappeared from the class. That's not good. Okay. If you sent in your body paragraph over the last 10 minutes, I've not been able to access it because the thing just logged me out. And I can't see anything. If you can resend it again, you have it there, okay? If you click on it and just resend, if you can. If not, I think I've gone through them, just that I can't know who is who with the particular ones anymore. I noted down some corrections though. Okay, so if you finished, I can see some people have finished the whole thing, which is a good thing. If you have not, please go ahead to your conclusion, write your conclusion. Go to your conclusion. So that we can do the correction or just note our mistakes and go. 2 more minutes and we will be done with taking any other thing. So whatever you have written is better you post it so we can see it and just go ahead, please. All right, so thank you very much for attempting this essay. It's 4:50, our time is running short. So let's get back to work. Who did not write anything? Who did not write anything? Chinwe. Chinwe Olisedu. Can everybody hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, I sent my own. I sent to the
Chinwe,
email.
where is your work?
I'm just trying to copy it. I sent it to the email you sent. I didn't know. I just joined. I didn't know you want us to do it here. I just want to copy it and paste here if possible. I sent it to the mail
Okay.
this morning. Yes.
All right. So generally, I've seen what you did in your introduction. Why I was insisting or trying to tell you that you should not write long English in that your introduction, especially when it gets to the specific statement. Now, in your specific statement, when you have mentioned that you agree or you disagree, or I am supporting this fact and this essay will discuss my opinion, it's fine. Don't go about writing all manner of what I don't understand in the name of you want to increase your word count. Okay? Don't increase your word count like that, please. Secondly, grammatical error. Grammatical error. For some of us from the introduction, I was noting the correction down, but I could not see. I was logged out. I don't know if anybody noticed. I was logged out just like that and I had to rejoin the class again. So all the things you sent before has all disappeared. So grammatical error is the major challenge that we have here. And number two, most of you, is it that there are no words to replace honor or possessions or trust or what? Because almost all of you are still writing the same old-fashioned honor, possessions, values. Are there no other words for those things? Are there no other words for those things? There are other words for those things. So please, overall, I have seen that all your points, nearly all your points are very valid, even those on the YouTube. You have given me very valid points and you have explained, but your English, the way you brought them together, they were not good, not too good. Let me not say not good, not too good for me to accept them. Secondly, one other thing you should also note and correct is the fact that you need to use those connective devices. Connecting devices, what are they? The however, the furthermore, and all of that. Where are they? I'm not seeing them in your write-up. Just about 4 of you used it. We are many, both on YouTube and on the Zoom classes. You people need to make use of the connecting words. Use however, therefore, similarly. All those words, you need to use them. If you don't use them, you miss out. Okay? On a general note, I have seen that your work is good. If you can, you still have them with you, what you have written, copy them, join them together and send them to the email. That way I will give you individual vetting. I'll give you individual feedback. I'll vet them and give you individual feedback. Thank you very much, everybody. You need to improve on your grammar. You need to improve on using those devices. You need to improve on your grammar, please. Grammar. All right. I'll just leave the class now. I'll leave the class. That's it. You have all done well. Ojone Matthew, I don't know. I'm impressed with what you have done. Shola, I like what you did, but your examples, please, next time link it up very well with the work you have done also. Afolabi Adenike, your work is good. Even though I didn't see your conclusion, but what I have seen so far, your introduction, first and second body paragraph is great. So you need to improve. Please go back and watch the one on writing task 2 only, and you will see that you will improve. Go and do the assignment on writing task 1 that is on the Telegram group. Send it to the email address. I'll see you again by Saturday. Hopefully, we should have the class on Saturday. I'll send in all your corrections before Saturday so we can have a good head start. So please copy what you have here, send it to the email, and get your